Hello YouTube world. I'm about to demonstrate to you how to repower the truly excellent Snapper Hivac mower with an equally excellent Predator engine from Harbor Freight. I hope you enjoy the video. It's primarily done for my son, but hopefully you'll gather some information that will help you. Hi Matt. Today I'm going to show you how to fix your Snapper mower. Sorry for my bad sign language. This is my old Snapper Hivac and its dead engine. And here it is in its brand new beauty. Unboxing the Harbor Freight Predator engine is a pretty straightforward affair. As you can see, the instruction manual is right on top, and it's packaged securely in styrofoam and wrapped nicely in plastic, but that plastic is slippery, so when you try to lift the engine out, be careful and make sure that you have a good grip. You'll note that as you take the plastic from around it, it will have important safety instructions with the engine itself and tags that show you what you need to do, including, very importantly, to add oil to this engine before you run it. This engine does not come preloaded with oil, so it takes 10W30 in most climates. This is the drive pulley for the self-propelled system on the Snapper mower and its woodruff key. Please pay attention that this woodruff key requires heavy modification and very careful file work. This is a Snapper blade adapter. You'll note that we will not use this woodruff key. However, all the other parts we will. It has the spring washer, the lock washer, and the bolt necessary to fit the blade adapter to the bottom of the engine shaft. These are 3/8 by 24 by 1 inch stainless steel bolts that we will use to secure the engine to the lawnmower. You will need 3 each stainless steel flat washers and stainless steel lock washers as well. When you remove the protective cardboard sleeve around the drive shaft, you'll see this key. Remove it, but do not lose it. You will need it for future use. Note that this key is a different width on the blade adapter than it is for the key slot on the drive shaft. It will require a step key, 3/16 by 5/32. It requires some pretty fancy file work, so if you're not capable of doing that, I recommend you talk to a machinist that won't charge you much to make you a step key that will go in this shaft. In order to make the Predator engine useful for a variety of applications, these holes do not come threaded. You'll need to use a 3/8 by 24 tap wrench to thread these holes to accept the 1 inch 3/8 by 24 bolts that are used to mount the engine to the mower. This hole is threaded, so you won't need to mess with that, but that one and that one need to be threaded to mount to the Snapper Hivac. If you've never used a tap wrench before, cutting oil is very important. If you do not have cutting oil, then WD-40 or something like that will work in a pinch. But the bottom line is, definitely use some type of oil while you're cutting these threads. Apply the cutting oil very liberally. You want the threads of the tool fully drenched in cutting oil. When you get the tap ready, place it in the hole that you need to cut. Make sure that you're going straight down into the hole. Don't cant it or twist it, because it will cut in that manner. So make sure that it's going straight up and down, and then begin slowly and carefully to turn the tap, ensuring that you maintain that proper positioning to go straight into the hole. as you make these cuts, go slowly and methodically and twist into the hole about halfway down. When you get to about halfway, you're going to want to stop and then reverse the tool and take it back out so that you can clean the chips off of the threads and out of the hole. Use compressed air or canned air or something equivalent to spray all of the chips off of both the hole and the tool. Make sure you reapply cutting oil and go back in. After you make it all the way through, blow your chips off again before you take the tool out of the hole. You finished that one, now you need to do that one. That one's done, and now that one. Next, get you some 400 grit, wet dry, waterproof sandpaper. And you're going to want to clean up the shaft as well as the pulley and the blade adapter, so that when you put the pulley and the blade adapter onto the shaft, you can manipulate it and move it around. You definitely do not want these to be so tight that they get stuck. So clean them up. It's hard to do one-handed while I'm shooting video, but use both hands and get after it a little bit. Here's where you use your first step key that you either made or had made. Remember, these have to fit very tightly and perfect, especially on the one for the blade adapter. You cannot get this stuff off by too much or it won't work. The drive pulley secures with a 5/32 inch hex key. Make sure that you have the woodruff key, the step key, all the way down to the bottom of the slot. There's only one right way to put this pulley on. Please make note of the orientation of the pulley itself on the shaft. The pulley goes all the way down to its stop. Make sure that the woodruff key remains bottom in the slot as well. When you tighten it, give it a reasonable amount of torque. Make sure it's pretty tight. This is the next step key that I made, and this sucker has to be dead on perfect, and I mean it. You shouldn't have to jam it on, but you should have zero play when you try to twist the blade adapter back and forth on the shaft. It should be a good, tight, solid, perfect fit. This is the bottom of our Snapper Hivac, showing the Ninja blade, which is the absolute best lawnmower blade ever invented. It's the reason Snapper Hivacs are as nice as they are. You'll need a 9/16 inch wrench to remove it. Put that sucker on there and get ready to twist. And definitely do not use an adjustable wrench, because this thing is probably pretty dadgum tight. To remove the engine itself, you'll need a 9/16 inch socket and a ratchet wrench. Make sure you have it on the bolts really well so you can take them off. You don't want to strip them out, so it makes it difficult to get the engine off of the mower. This is the engine safety brake cable. Be careful with it because you can break the old plastic. Very carefully get some needle nose pliers and depress the tabs on the mounting piece to remove it from the slot that holds it in place. Remove the cable from the brake assembly, and then the engine is free to be disposed of after you remove the gasoline and the oil. Just put it in your trash can or send it to the recycler. These mower bodies are galvanized, but get the crud off of them so the engine mounts nicely and doesn't vibrate free. Also, if you want to change the belt, now's a good time to do it. Yes, I know, not the best rack in the world, but it did in a pinch. So one minor problem is I noticed that the heat protector on the muffler prevents the engine from being properly mounted onto the Hivac body. So unfortunately, that sucker's got to go. It takes an 8mm socket, and I ended up using a 1/4-inch drive ratchet set to bust that thing loose. It was very tight. Just remember, that thing gets hot, so don't touch it when the engine's been running. The last thing to do before we bolt the engine down is to put the engine brake safety cable back on. And this is what it looks like when it's snapped into place. So now we're ready. Put the belt around the pulley and then line up the holes on the engine with the mounting holes on the mower body, and we're ready to go. This is what it'll look like when you get it properly aligned. You have 1, 2, 3 mounting holes. Put the lock washer on the bolts first, and then next the flat washers. You'll need a 9/16" socket on a ratchet wrench to drive the bolts home. Get them snug, but remember that it's aluminum that you're driving into, and you can strip it out if you go too tight. The next thing we do is mount the blade, but before we get started, a very important point. You want to use the bolt that came with the blade adapter, not the one that came with the Predator engine. It's too short. Obviously, this side of the blade goes against the blade adapter that is square. Another super important point is this is a compression washer, and the dome of the washer goes against the head of the bolt when it's oriented properly. With a 9/16" socket, put some muscle into this and compress that compression washer all the way flat. It needs to be tight. Again, don't forget or you'll be sorry. 0.6 quarts of 10W30 motor oil. There you go. You just did a great job mounting a new motor on your Snapper mower. The last thing you want to do is hook up the throttle cable, and that's a little bit of trial and error. Basically, at full throttle, the throttle needs to be about halfway in that slot there. The throttle control is going to be a little confusing on this thing now, because on the Predator engine, the throttle itself is mounted backwards. Therefore, the control is going to operate backwards as well. You'll get used to it though. Setting the throttle cable is a little bit of trial and error. What you want to do is set the throttle at full throttle on the handle, and then adjust the cable back and forth to where the throttle itself is about halfway, and then screw it down when you get it right. Mine looked about like this when I was done and had it adjusted properly, but every mower is going to be a little bit different. Pump the primer 3 to 5 times. Here we go. Let's see if it starts on the first pull. Hello YouTube world. Hope that you enjoyed the video and find it helpful. As you can see, I generally produce the video for the consumption of my son. But if you found it helpful, great. Also, if you know anyone that has any clues to how to equip this video for captioning, that would be great. Other than that, have a very nice day. That Predator engine is an excellent engine, and it should do a good job for you for many years to come.